doth be whole. The right. I want to talk to you all for just a few minutes. If you would just give me your attention. If somebody walks in late, don't let them come up to the front anymore because of the distraction. I want to talk to you about the test, the trial of the righteous. I am righteous and I know that I'm righteous, but I still have to be tested. The test of the righteous, the test of the righteous. The book of Psalms, which contains 150 songs and prayers, is perhaps the most popular, the most widely read book out of all of the books of the Bible. This particular message in a song is that which comes from the heart of David, and we all know that his name is attributed to be loved, one who is loved of God. And because God loved David in spite of his shortcomings and his mistakes and poor choices that he made, yet he was one who had the ability to quickly apologize and then mean it from his heart. And therefore God was able to use him and to take him to places where David needed to go to bless him in order that the masses might be blessed. But during his formative years, as God was making him, as God was molding him, David had to do what we are doing now. He had to go through some trials. He had to go through some particular tests, so that after he passed the test, he would be able to qualify to talk to somebody like us and to tell us from personal experience. Does anybody have any personal experiences with God? That God will, because God has already made a way for those who will comply to his law. So he opens up his argument in verse number 1, and he makes the statement with regards to the subject matter that he's going to talk about. He says, it is in the Lord where I put my trust. It is in the Lord. It is in the Lord. And so now God is the focus concerning the destination of David's trust. Amen. It is in the Lord. He knows exactly where to place his confidence and where to place his trust. But in order for one to fully understand the importance of trust, one must value where one places one trust. And so the qualifying phrase is that it is in the Lord where he places his trust. This name Lord in the Hebrew is Jehovah, which is interpreted the self-existent or the eternal one. Self-existent, which means God does not depend on anybody but himself. God is not needy. God does not run out of blessings. God does not run out of power. God does not run out of information. He does not run out of the ability to supply all of your need according to his riches in glory. He is self-existent. He is self-dependent. Nobody has cornered the market with regards to what God does, because he does it all by himself. He is Jehovah, the self-existent or the eternal one, which means God will never come to an end of his godliness. He does not have a term or a season of being God like the president has in his term of being president. God is not going to be president for 4 years and then he has to step down only to watch somebody else ascend to the godliness that he once had. God will always be God. He was God yesterday. He's God today. Look at somebody and say he will be God on tomorrow. So when you look at the eternality of God's self-existence, it only reassures one who places one's trust in him that you can depend on God. Especially when you have been disappointed by other persons. You're quiet in here. And then you have to deal with the subjective problem of allowing time to heal your heart. And then also coupled with the understanding that you cannot afford to misdirect your pain by directing it towards God and becoming angry with him because of what somebody else has said or done to you. Once you come to the place of understanding that God is the self-existent, God is the eternal God, and that God does not depend on anybody, it only allows you to have a place of being able to be reassured, at the risk of being redundant, that you can always, at all times and in all seasons in your life, depend, which means that you can, metaphorically speaking, lean on God. Because let's just tell the truth. Sometimes we get tired. Sometimes we get worried. It's not that we don't believe God, but because the journey sometimes can become so very, very intense. Can I be real on today? Sometimes the journey, Sister Rochelle, can become so very intense and intensified in its presentation in one's life that it can affect the way you think. It can affect the way you talk. It can affect the way you act and react when people even speak to you or talk to you on the phone, or if you pass certain people in passing at the store, or if you hung your horn at somebody that you may recognize. All of that which has happened to you can have a bearing on your life. Amen. Because we're human, we have the capacity to get tired. I love God, but sometimes I don't want to be bothered. I love God, but sometimes I don't feel like smiling. I don't feel like saying amen. Sometimes, even though I love God, I might not even feel like holding on. But because I recognize the value of who my Lord is, and He is Jehovah, the self-existent one, the self-dependent one. He is the eternal God, and looking at the eternality of God's self-existence, I can always depend, lean on Him in the time of trouble. I'm just laying my foundation. So He wants us to understand that the Lord becomes the qualifying reason that He directs His trust in the Lord. So it is in the Lord, not around the Lord, not close to the Lord, not in the vicinity of the Lord, but it is in the Lord. Tell your neighbor, you got to get into God. Yes, there is something about becoming spiritually intimate with God. I don't just want to know about Him, I want to experience Him. In order for you to be in God, you must experience His